Hello everyone, welcome to Capes and Lunatics, our new podcast me and my friends are putting on. This is Phil, and you're probably wondering why just me, because this is another interview, and I'm here with a very special guest. If you listened to the Enough Said podcast, you've heard me talk to this gentleman before, but please welcome back Mr. Kaare Andrews.
Hey, here I am. I was waiting for the applause. I was waiting for the crowd to cheer, but just you and me, I guess.
Yeah, I'll have to bring a crowd next time.
No live audience. Save that for the next time.
Yes. But
next time I'll bring the live audience, and we can all sit in my studio, and it'd be great.
I was gonna say you have a lot more fans than I do, but
we'll cheer for you.
No, we're here for you. No, I wanted to talk to you again just because I loved our last talk. Yeah, you know, you're a big Marvel fan. I'm a big Marvel fan, but I finally sat down. I read the first season of Renato Jones. I even picked up the first issue of season 2, and it's great. I'm glad I read it. I'm glad I read these 6 issues all together, because if I would have had to wait between season 1 and season 2, it would have went crazy.
Yeah, I mean, really, the first issue of this season 2 is like it directly connects to the last issue of season 1. So it was. Originally there was a time when maybe it was only ever going to be 5 or 6 issues, and that was what it was going to be. But when I decided to expand it, hold on, I've got a live auction in my background here. When I decided to expand it to 2 seasons,
Mm-hmm.
I took kind of the finale of season 1 and made it the premiere of season 2 as just kind of a choice. I thought that might be an interesting thing to do and parse out the story. So we'll see how people respond to it. So far, it's been pretty good. I had some good response. It just came out a couple days ago, so it's been fun for me. We'll see how people like it.
Oh, it's excellent. I love it, and yeah, part of me is so happy because I'm like, oh, great, and a great book, and I want to pick it up. And season 2, is that going to be another 5 issues?
Yeah, that's the plan. 5 issues. Yep.
Okay, and would you go past it? Would you do a season 3?
I'll probably know closer to closer to the time season 2 ends. That's kind of what happened with season 1. Again, I was only gonna maybe do a 1 season story, one arc, and I got really into it and got carried away, and I just needed more time and wanted more time with the character and the world, and I wanted to do more things with it. So we'll see how it works. The interesting thing about Image is that it's kind of just all up to me, so I can just kind of decide as I go whether I want to keep going or not, or that's an interesting part of the creator-owned paradigm is having that choice, and having that choice kind of free to you at all times. So we'll see.
It sounds great, but yeah, no, honestly, I'm not just saying this because I'm on here with you. I love this book. I wasn't looking for another comic to get on a monthly basis, but I mean, it is only 5 issues a season, but still, I know I'm gonna if we get to another cliffhanger and be like, oh, I have to wait. But yeah, I honestly, my budget and me weren't looking for another book to pick up, but I have to pick this book up. It is just too good.
Yeah, no, I hear that. It's like comics these days is so expensive, so you really have to, your choices are important. So the weird thing about today's market is there's so many books coming out from all the publishers. Like there's just really a glut of product. So it's like Marvel has so many books, and DC has so many books, and even Image has so many books, and it's interesting times both to be a reader, I think, and also a creator in this kind of field of choices, and a lot of good books and a lot of good creators working. So it's kind of been strange times, but it's interesting.
We'll not sidetrack us too much, but like you work in TV also. I mean, is this like the golden age? Like, there's so much like superheroes on TV and then the movies, and there's like more coming. Are we gonna hit like a limit, or are we just gonna like, you can turn on your TV any time of the day and there's gonna be, some kind of form of superheroes on there?
Yeah, I just finished directing 2 episodes of a show called Van Helsing for Sci-Fi Channel. It's a season 2. I wasn't on season 1, but I did 2 episodes of season 2, and that'll start coming out in the fall, I think. But in TV too, there's just an incredible amount of content. It's again interesting times where so much content is being created. You just cannot ingest it all as a reader or a viewer. There's just too much of it, and there's a lot of good content that people will talk about, and it's like either maybe it's a book or a TV show, and it's like, oh, I really want to read that or I want to watch that. I just it's hard to find the time to do it all, and so I don't know what's going to happen. Like, is it going to keep on going like that? I don't know. I've definitely heard some people speak of maybe a shift in the paradigm where it's going to become a culture of the niche and a boutique culture, and your audiences will be that 10%. You're going to chase that 10% of the total audience, and not worry so much about the total of the audience. But I don't know. We will see how it all pans out. But it's the same problem in comics and the same problem in TV, and it's not a bad problem. It's just an interesting problem.
Yes. I mean, there's just like so many platforms, even like just like there's more platforms being created every day, and
yeah.
Would you? Yeah. Well, I'm sure you probably wouldn't turn this down, but would you like to do like a Renato Jones as like a TV show or a movie or?
Yeah, given the right circumstances, I have. I've already turned down a couple opportunities. They just weren't the right fit for the character. So I didn't create the character to become something else, but it definitely could exist in another medium. So if the opportunity is right and the time is right, yeah, that might be fun, really fun to do. It's kind of I think he's a fun character to unleash on an unsuspecting audience. It would be interesting to see him like kind of in a more broadband spectrum, like on your TV or something like that.
Yeah, I think that we're living in interesting times. There are people who would like gobble this up in some kind of either live action or some animation, something.
Yeah.
I wasn't even going to take this. All right. No, I know what I did want to ask you is like, let's start at the beginning. How did you come up with the idea for the character?
Well, he was a character that's kind of been bouncing around in my head in different forms for a long time. Mm-hmm. And he's kind of morphed over the years into what he is. But also, it was more of a decision to do a creator-owned book and then go from there. So just to back up, I always have a file of ideas and concepts, and I've generated like dozens of TV, dozens and dozens of TV pitches. I've written numerous screenplays. I've created pitches for numerous comic book characters. Like part of the fun of it all is that first initial ideating. So I always have a folder of ideas and concepts that I always am waiting to unleash. It's more a sense of the time involved to do any of it is the biggest hurdle. So I've never worried about like, whoa, what's that next idea going to be? It's more just like, what is my time going to be? What is my life going to be? And I decided I wanted to do a creator-owned book. It was the right time. I'd always meant to do a creator-owned project. Initially, I thought my life would be all comic books, do a mainstream book, do a creator-owned book, go back to a mainstream book, do a creator-owned book, and kind of ride that back and forth a bit. And what happened is, as I got more involved in film and directing, it became do a mainstream book, oh, go do a film project. Do a mainstream book, oh, go do a film project. And it got to a point where after Iron Fist, I had it had been so long since I promised myself I'd be doing these creative books. I just was like, it was just time. It was like I have run out of excuses. Like I just need to do this now because that was my original intention. And so I just decided to do a book. And when I decided to do a book, I just opened up a sketchbook and started drawing and concepting, and whatever came out of me on that page, which was both a summation of a few different ideas and screenplays I had written, as well as just however I was feeling in the time. That's what Renato Jones turned into. And part of the question I had for myself at the beginning was, who are the bad guys going to be in this book? And it's always felt less and less real to me that someone needs to grow or become a superhuman in order to stop a bank robber or a jewel thief. And in today's world, if you look at the villains, who are the villains in today's world? Well, it's either terrorists, or it's corporations, or it's the super rich. And I just thought there's been so many terrorist projects. It's going to be evil corporations or evil rich people, and I just thought it might be more fun to punch an evil rich person in the face than to punch Pepsi in the face or something like that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, because I mean, you can go out there with that, but also you could tell. I mean, you get some inspiration from like news and current events. I mean, even if you twist them to suit your story, but there are some current events, influence some of your stories, right?
Definitely, 1,000%. I mean,
I think after this latest issue, we could tell. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, art is my take is the best art is not a and some people will probably say I'm doing the opposite, but I think that the best art is not one that preaches at people. The best art just like takes whatever's happening in the world today, and it's just one person's response to it. And so this is just the world we live in, like this is just where we are, and I just decided to run with it. And there's so many. I mean, every day there's so many stories about kind of rich people doing horrible things to each other or to the world. It's just a never-ending, never-ending pool of inspiration to draw from. But in the middle of that, I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to deal with the thing about wealth is it's the thing right now. It is kind of a plague of evil on the world where the super elite are growing so wealthy, so powerful, and controlling so much of the world. And it's an evil I think we can all recognize on some level, yet it's also this thing that on another level we all kind of wish we had and would aspire to in some way. So I wanted a hero that both could battle against this kind of not wealth itself, but evil that hides behind wealth, but also live in that world and both enjoy it but feel horrible about it. So it's kind of this contrast and this dichotomy that I wanted to invest in.
Oh yeah, I mean you've definitely accomplished that mission because you could tell he's like a conflicted character, but there's like you read the story, it's like a secret thrill and stuff, and I could gush about this book all day, but yeah, no, it's really good. But yeah, it's not like all completely real world because like I know I was thinking, is he's just gonna battle like all non-powered people, and you kind of sneak some, I don't want to say superpowers in there, but like the very first issue, you have the guy with the wristwatch, and
yeah, I mean, I just wanted, it's a big loud book, and I felt it wanted big loud characters, and I think for me, part of the fun of the early Spider-Man or early Batman books, the original books, were always the cast of the bad guys. So I wanted more than just ordinary people with the ordinary. I wanted characters that could do interesting, unique things and play in a heightened world. So it was both. So there's also, I mean, my favorite bad guy is probably Mr. Wicked Awesome, who is like my kind of response to this strange fixation that we've have now with our pop culture heroes. Like now, maybe Superman is, he's not the most famous, well-known character amongst today's youth. Maybe he's not the one that has had the hit movies lately. It's been, kind of snarky, jerky characters like Iron Man. And it's interesting to me that the world has changed in a way that kind of the snarky, entitled, super rich character is the hero, and he's the one to aspire to, not the kind of like the Boy Scout is just trying to like make life better for people, but it's actually a self-entitled multi-billionaire who it fit with the theme. So I kind of went with, I basically took the worst aspects of the pop culture version of Iron Man with the worst aspects of the pop culture version of every other rich superhero that is enjoying success in today's pop culture, and kind of rolled them into one kind of bad guy. And I think he's pretty fun. He's pretty fun to write, anyways.
Oh yeah, it looks like it. But yeah, you're like a lifelong Marvel fan like me. Did you ever think we'd see a day where Deadpool hit like the popularity he's hit with like the movies and everything? And did you see they're coming out? I guess they're Donald Glover's was he producing a Deadpool animated, some kind of animated series?
Yeah, I heard he's also writing. I think it's really cool. I mean, when I was a kid, I always had so much love for these characters, and there were so many of them, and so many different subgenres within just the superhero genre, let alone the medium of comic books. So it's interesting to see. I think what had to happen was there had to be a public base awareness of our core characters like Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, to then enjoy the kind of like second tier characters, which were more like maybe Iron Man or Thor or whoever. And then only now can the mainstream audience, that they have a base understanding of those core characters enough to enjoy now the Guardians of the Galaxy or the Deadpool, like kind of the subgenres within the main genre. That it's not straight superheroes. It's like either like mature content, craziness, or science fiction-y superheroes. But I think there had to exist those mainstream acceptance of those core characters, and then work the way towards them. Just like in comic books, we started with kind of these mainstream characters, and then have branched out into subgenres within the genre.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, all of a sudden, a few, like 10 years ago, my mother probably wouldn't have known who Iron Man was. Now she does.
Yeah, right, totally. And he's like the most famous Marvel character right now, him and Captain America.
Yeah. But I like I said, I want to gush about this book, but I don't want to give stuff away because it's like such a treat.
Well, I think we talk about the entire first season with spoilers and everything, because it's been a year now since that first season came out, and the trade was released in January, so that's months. So I think we can talk about that freely. And then for me, this book is really about, there's a certain kind of story I wanted to tell, but also I really wanted to, and this is something I've been obsessing about for the past few years, but like invest in the medium of comic books specifically. And I think because I do some directing, when I do a comic book, I really want to achieve things that can only happen in comic books. Like I want to use that language to its fullest, and not pretend it's a TV show and not pretend it's a movie, but actually use the comic book language as a strength and create something that can only exist in comic book. And every issue I try to do I deliberately try to do some kind of thing, whatever it is, that can only happen in a comic book.
I could tell, and I just love that you have such a love for the medium. And I don't know if it's the art or the writing, or your writing, or both, but I just, especially in that first season, I was getting like a Frank Miller vibe, like Dark Knight Returns, Daredevil, just those gritty stories that I love.
Yeah, no, he's definitely one of the guys I grew up really admiring, as well as the other writer artists like Steranko, yes, or Chaikin, or Simonson, or Will Eisner, or just my favorite guys have always been. I love a lot of different people, a lot of different creators, both writers and artists, but my favorite have always just been the writer artist. And I think there's just a different feel to a book when it's a writer and the artist that share the same brain. And sometimes you can have a collaboration that gets close, like, Chris Claremont and John Byrne, or say Matt Fraction and David Aja, or sometimes there's a collaboration where they almost share the same brain and it feels really cohesive. But when it's the same person doing it from the start, that cohesiveness is a given. Then it just becomes about the quality. So it's that's always something I've aspired to is doing the two jobs at the same time.
And I mean, you could just see like your love for the character because, well, one, you created him from scratch, so it's like your baby, but also, you're not saddled with all the like decades of continuity, and you don't have to run it past really like an editor or like a bigger company entity. So, I mean, basically, what Image just lets you, it's your dream, run with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's your book, your characters. You can do whatever you want, basically. I mean, yeah. I will say that I hired myself an editor. I enjoy working with editors. I think a good editor is really important, an important collaborator. If it's the right fit, like you want the right fit for the editors. And I hired Sebastian Gerner to edit this book, and he's been great. And so, sometimes we'll talk about story and he'll ask me questions and things like that. But really, it's the best editors empower you to do your best work. And no one, Image or anyone, has ever put any restrictions on my book. It's probably, you can tell when you read it. It gets a little insane at times.
Oh, like I said, you could just tell how much fun you're having and just how much you put in this book, because like it makes me laugh every time. It's just like the fake ads and all the issues.
Yeah,
I love those.
Yeah, the fake ads were, originally I thought Renato Jones, I thought it'd be fun to have like real ads in a comic book, because when I was growing up, I thought, the real ads in comic books were just part of the reading experience, and they kind of broke up the story, and I never really paid attention to them, but they felt like part of the cohesion of a comic book. And then those have slowly been going away, especially in Image books, where it's mostly just house ads inside an Image book. But I thought I wanted real ads again, so I thought I would start to approach real businesses to get those ads. But as it came down to it, I also thought, wouldn't it be actually more fun if I just made those ads and made those ads part of the reading experience, just like in a movie like RoboCop, or I used to get this magazine in art school called Adbusters, which would do a lot of fake ads, and I always really enjoyed that thing. And I like to mess around with photo manipulation and Photoshop, and it felt in graphic design, and it just felt like natural to just like do some of that. And what I found was, by issue 5 in that first season, I found a way to use those ads more as part of the storytelling, and paste the right ad in the right place, and make it mean something. So more than just breaking up the story with a funny thing, but like actually underlining the story as it goes. And I have 2 ads in season 2, issue 1, that are about autocracy and the oligarchs, and and how that connects to the world of the super rich and in today's world.
But yeah, like I said, just from beginning to end, it's just you could tell the love you. I mean, well, of course, it's your character. It's for it's all you. Created, written, drawn, colored, and owned. So yeah, it's. I mean,
here's another thing. Another thing that's interesting about what my weird life is that I do these. I started directing TV a little bit, maybe a little over a year ago, and it's been actually really fun. It reminds me of penciling comic books in a good way, so directly. It's really weird. I feel like exactly where I used to be when I first broke into comic books in the world of the television, but it's a world of collaboration and a world of compromise and a world of like convincing the machine to do the thing that you want it to do, and I really like it a lot. But it also makes, when I come back and do a comic book, I sense the freedom that comic books give you so much. I recognize it so much that when I go into my studio in the comic book world, it's just like whatever I want, and you really feel that change. Like maybe you don't have as many eyes on the project as a TV show or a movie, but the amount that one person can do in comic books like outmatches anything that any one person could ever do in film or television. So it's nice to jump back and forth between the two mediums and feel the difference every time.
Well, it's like even just, I mean, the story's one thing, but I mean, just the visuals, I mean, on probably, the simplest, well, not simple, but like the littlest effect on TV, it probably takes so much time and money and effort. Comic book, it's just you, your hands, your mind, and you
yeah,
have
totally.
like
It's
the
fast.
most cosmic fit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fast, nimble, and there's an argument to be made that there's a correlation between speed and creativity. Creativity is something you feel in an instant, and if you find a way to implement those feelings and gut feelings in your work, that's when you can really feel it. And I think comic books just lend themselves to that feeling and that response. It's just a faster response, so you can really just go with it. Whereas, like, again, let's say I'm directing a film. Well, that screenplay was written a year, 2 years, 3 years ago. There are producers. There's a lot. There's actors. Everyone. There's a lot of opinions, and in TV even more so, because if you're directing TV, you're just there for a couple episodes, and then you're gone. You're not around. It's another director who does a couple episodes or whatever. It's even, it's even harder to respond to those creative whims. And your job really is to find a way to get them in there, and that's part of the fun of TV. Is like, oh, here's a big challenge. Like, how do I get this machine to do what I want? But in comic books, at this point, I just am the machine. I can write, draw, color. I can do almost every job and just be the machine. And just, if the machines, I always say, if the machine wants to make tacos instead of mattresses, well, if you're the machine, you can just make tacos.
Yeah.
But if you're not, if you're part of a machine, you have to convince the entire machine to start making tacos. And that's the real difference. But they're both great jobs, and it's really fun. I can do both.
Yeah, I think that's why comics is probably like my favorite form of media, just because there's less hands involved. It's a more pure form of entertainment, especially coming from you, because you do everything on most of your comics. So it's like there's one person behind the wheel.
Yeah, and I really think that's what's happened with pop culture. Like, I think one of the reasons why comic books have started to take over a little bit is that the successful versions of comic book movies and TV shows are ones that draw from source material. I think they draw from the best source material, and that source material was created quickly and rapidly, and without too many restrictions or agendas or other fingers in the pie. Like when you do a comic book, it's so fast. Even when you work for a big company like Marvel, there's not really a lot of restrictions. There's not really a lot of back and forth as long as you're doing good work. They're very supportive. And so when you have 60 years of people just doing good work as quickly as possible, and the great stories are there. Now, when you take a giant machine, a giant $200 million machine that needs to make a profit and they need to make safe bets, well, they can either start to try to create that content from the ground up, and with that entire agenda involved, like, oh, we need to make money, and this is going to be very expensive, and everything needs to be perfect. And it really creates these dull, boring, old, hampered down scripts that don't really work because everyone's too afraid to take chances. Or with the comic projects, oftentimes they'll go back and say, oh, this was a great series. Let's take our $200 million machine and fuel it with this story that was created on the fly by a talented writer and a talented artist, and just use that. And we'll take that $200 million slow machine and just infuse it with this fast, creative storytelling. And I think that's part of the reason why comic books have fueled so much of pop culture now, because they were created with that speed and creativity in a way that things that are original, it's harder to do these days, harder to create, like screenplays, or even TV less so because TV's catching up, but it's hard to create those things with that sense of speed and energy and nimbleness that the comic books inherently have.
Yeah, and like we were saying, I mean, there's Marvel and DC stuff. I mean, there's decades of content they can pull from, and they know what was popular, what wasn't popular, in the printed form. So hey, let's let's take the best of that and mix and match it and make movies, TV.
Yeah, and you can really see, even in the Marvel and DC stuff, like some things don't work and some things work really well. And the things that work really well are generally the things that were infused with strong storyline from the past. And things that don't quite work, where you feel like it doesn't feel like the same character, or it doesn't feel like the same experience, are ones that whoever created that TV show or that movie, they kind of just try to do their own thing with, but have the costume be the same. And like, just to pick on Green Lantern, but like that Green Lantern movie, something like that, where maybe the agenda wasn't to honor that character. It was just to create a new thing and call it a superhero movie. You can feel that. You can feel that. But if you take a show like Netflix Daredevil, well, that really leaned into the Frank Miller stuff and the Frank Miller run in Daredevil. And you can feel that in the product. Like, you can feel that there's some kind of substance there. It's not like a whole cloth reinvention of the character.
Oh yeah. Did you? We hadn't talked since Iron Fist came out. Have you watched the whole Iron Fist run, the first season?
I have not. I've been waiting. Here's what's funny is it came out during when I was in pre-production on Van Helsing. And I just could never find time to even watch a single episode. Yet during pre-production, I ended up working for a day or two with Brett Chan, who was the stunt coordinator and second unit director of Iron Fist, because he's a local stunt coordinator here in Vancouver. And he was helping out. He was filling in for our normal stunt coordinator on Van Helsing doing some scouting. And he was really cool, and I got a chance to talk to him all about it. But I still have not found the time to watch the series. I've read a lot of the responses to the series, but that's all I have. I haven't actually watched it myself, so I'm reserving judgment until I see the final product. But I'm well aware of both the positive and negative responses that it's had. So I'm curious to see what it's really like.
I think it was a good series. I don't think it deserved all the most of the criticism it got. I don't know. I don't know if people were expecting something else, but yeah, I think people were just looking to find that first crack in Marvel's armor, at least on the Netflix side. And it wasn't as bad as a lot of these reviewers are making it out to be. But you have to hurry up and watch it. Defenders is coming, I think, in August already.
I know. I feel horrible. I'm just now back from the TV show and just slammed catching up with my workload in the comic books. So I am just up to my neck in Renato Jones right now, drawing furiously. And it's really fun. It's fun to be on season one felt like I was climbing up a mountain a little bit. Like, everything was new and creating all these new characters, new situations, and it was it was work. It was fun work, but it was still work to get up to the top of the mountain. And now on the back half, I feel like season two is really it's directly related to season one in a way that it feels like I'm coming down the mountain, and I feel like I'm picking up speed, and it's fun to be to just deal with the momentum and try not to trip myself up on the way down, rather than setting my hooks in and climbing up.
But yeah, I just I'll let you go in a little bit, because yes, you are a busy man. But I just wanted to say, I mean, what really hit me was that little essay you put at the end of the very first issue of season one, and I saw it. It looked like you got a response in the letters pages in the back, which me and my friends like letter pages too. I have one friend, I might get him to read this book just because he loves letter pages.
Yeah, I grew up loving letters pages too. Like, I grew up when I would read John Byrne's X-Men or Frank Miller's Sin City or the Marvel books or whatever. Like, I always thought ads and letters pages, they were all part of that experience. And this was the first time I've really had a letters page. And I tried to really run with it. And that essay I wrote was really, to be completely honest, I had a different essay I wrote at first that was not. I wrote it, and it didn't feel. It was a little more tonally. It was a little more dark. It was a little more angry, or not angry, but a little more. I don't know.
Aggressive.
Aggressive. It was more aggressive, and the book is so aggressive. It just felt weird. It felt like a hat on a hat. And right before the book went to press, I was like, I got to rewrite this. This doesn't even. I don't even feel this. It didn't feel true. And so I just wrote something more about how I feel about creating conflicts themselves, and less about the subject matter. Less about because the subject of the book is just the story, and the story is not. I don't want to preach to people. It's not that kind of a book. It's a fun action adventure in a kind of a modern noir. It's about a guy who has a knife stuck to his gun. It's like it's like a fun book. And it was just always meant to be just a fun experience for me. And that first essay I wrote wasn't fun, and it didn't feel real. So I quickly rewrote that other thing. And I was happy to hear that people found some inspiration in it, because I think, art, the very purpose of art is only to inspire more art. And if I feel like I can do that even in an essay, if someone's like, hey, you got me drawing something today, then I feel like, oh, that was a successful endeavor.
Yeah, I mean, it really, I think it's so good. After we hang up, if you don't mind, I would like to read it, so anyone listening to this could hear this. It's
man, totally.
Because you talk about you're kind of directed toward being a comic book creator, but I think any creative person this would strike a chord with.
Yeah, well, creativity is transcendent across the mediums for sure. I can read it for you. Want me to read it right now?
Oh, sure. I didn't know if you had it in front of you.
Here, I can grab it.
Oh, nice. In your voice, yes.
Trade.
Please.
A trade around here. Okay, here's my little spoken word poem for the day. So you want to be a comic book creator. In a world of remakes and remixes, reimaginings and reboots, you have your own ideas. Redoing isn't doing enough. Reworking isn't working for you. So create. Create with fire and blood. Spit into the sky and burst something new. You're not chasing money or fame. You're chasing life. Likes and retweets in a sea of social media sludge. A programmer's trick to make you think you matter. Well, let me tell you something, friend. You matter. What you have to say matters. What's in you matters. So let it out. Create. Shore yourself up against a storm to come, because they will come for you when you dare to matter. Those too afraid to live their dreams will try to kill yours, to make things even. A blood sacrifice to false gods. But as they tear your pages apart, remember to smile. It's not your dreams in their filthy hands. It's simply paper. And you have so much more to say. So much more than they can ever tear away. Keep creating. Create until you build a pile of life so high the dead can't reach you. I'll meet you there. Wait for me, will you? I just have a few things to do. And there's the applause. Oh, there's the audience. That's really how I feel about, creating. It's this energy that you need to allow yourself to act on. And there's going to be 1,000 reasons not to, and 1,000 voices not to. And in a strange way, and this happened in this book, the louder the voices in you and around you not to do the thing that you want to do, that must mean it's the thing that has to be done in my mind. So if you stumble across some creative endeavor and you hit unexpected, unexplained resistance from people you love, friends around you, people you work with, the world, like, to me, that's a sign that it needs to be done. And that happened with this book. And it just fueled me to do it. And it makes the completion of that thing that you set out to do more fulfilling when there is such a great deal of things to that are trying to stop it from happening. So that's part of why I put that all in there. And
yeah, it touched me, and I could tell just reading it I could feel the sincerity, and I just thought, people, especially any creative out there, they needed to hear this these days.
Yeah, it's hard. I think the hardest thing being creative in today's world is social media. Like, it's tricky, man. Like, I wrote in there, a programmer's trick to make you think you matter. Well, that's what social media is, in my view, and I can really feel it. Because, you post something, right? Maybe it's a drawing, maybe it's a poem, maybe it's a statement about something. And when you post something, all of a sudden now you have likes and dislikes, and it's these, Facebook and Twitter or Instagram, they're all set up for you to feel validation when someone clicks on a like or clicks on a retweet. And that makes that thing that you did feel important, or like it connected with someone. And it tricks you. It tricks you because you think, oh, I've got 5,000 likes. This must be a really good thing that I did. But art is not supposed to be an agreement from all people, right? Like, the best art should be kind of combative and should be kind of divisive, I think. Like, the art that matters is the art that you like, that your friend hates. That makes it important to you and not to him, or it's important the other way. But if something like homogenized art, well, that's maybe, if everyone liked the thing you did, maybe it's worth less. Like, if no one felt resistance towards it, maybe it's worth less. And it's kind of like this. Social media has kind of created this weird idea of, falling in line with public opinion, and public opinion is what matters and not the art itself. And in a weird way, it's like you have to just be aware that is what that is a little bit. And you're not seeking public agreement with your art making. You're seeking, you want to push buttons and ask questions and, and show people things that they may not like, or things that they do like, but you want to, it's tricky, especially if you're like just emerging as an artist or a musician or whatever. I think it can be, you got to ask yourself, what kind of ice cream do you want to be? Do you want to be vanilla ice cream? The kind of ice cream that everyone kind of likes, but doesn't really ever transcend into its own unique voice? Or do you want to be, that strange, unique, rare ice cream that only a few people love, but everyone, but a lot of people just are not fans of? Like, it's strange times.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it just, it makes me think of an article I read, not too long ago. It said, I think it was for writers, but it basically for anyone. It was basically just said, people may not be watching not a lot of people might be watching right now, but write like they are, because one day they will be.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just have to give distance.
It's also beyond your control. And if you look at, like, I grew up as a big movie fan, but without really an awareness of how those movies performed in the box office. But like, if you look at a movie like Blade Runner, that was just considered a box office failure at the time, and who knew? Because now it's one of the most referenced movies of all time.
Oh yeah, they're remaking it. Yeah,
they're remaking it. I look at a movie like Fight Club, which was, in my day, a super influential movie for me at that time. But that movie was a box office disaster in the theaters, and part of it is because it's anarchy, and people don't always know how to respond to that. Especially, at a certain age, you become less in touch with those feelings of blowing shit up. So you can't. That's why you just have to be aware of. The social media is cool, and it's nice to get likes and retweets, and we need validation as well as we need that a little bit too. But you just have to be aware that that's not the whole deal. And you know what? If you're writing, well, how many writers have been discovered after their deaths, or artists after their deaths? Like, you just have to do the thing. And the cool thing about art is you never know. Like, no matter how little success or great success you experience in your life, that thing that you did, that book you wrote, that painting you painted, whatever it is, that poem you wrote, that quote you did, whatever it is, that thing you invented, can easily have a life of its own when you're dead, and it will matter at some point to someone in the future. So you have to remember that a little bit too. If whenever you feel discouraged about art and art making.
Yeah. Powerful stuff. Yes. But I just wanted to say, I think we'll end there, but thank you. I'm always so appreciative when creators come on and talk to me, especially when they'll deal with me a second time, put up with me a second time.
Yeah, no. Well, thanks for picking up Renato Jones. I hope the entire audience in your room right now also picks up the book. It's a lot of fun, and I think it's like I said, it's not a book it's an action adventure book set in today's world, and whatever that means. It's not supposed to be a preachy book at all. It's supposed to be a book you can enjoy, but it does deal with some of the things that are bubbling up in today's society, like the division of wealth and what that does in a heightened way. So I think I think it's a fun project. It's definitely fun to create, and I think now that season 2 started, I'll probably pick up a few new readers who haven't read season 1 yet. So it's like $10 at your comic book store. Pick it up. That's my pitch.
Yeah, and I cannot recommend this book highly enough. I mean, this book is only one of 3 books I get that isn't Marvel or DC. So
cool.
Yeah, I'm very very picky with stuff that isn't Marvel or DC. So trust me, everyone.
Great.
Everyone who can hear this, go get it. Season 2.
Yeah. Well,
issue 1.
The other thing is, before I go, it's like I still love the Marvel characters, and I will return to the world of Marvel for sure. But when I did, part of the thing that drove Renato Jones, the making of Renato Jones, was I wanted to do a book that I couldn't do at Marvel. Like whether it was content or subject matter or storytelling or page count or visual devices. I was looking for things to do that I couldn't do at Marvel. So I think it's a good I love the Marvel books too, and I think this is a great pairing with my Marvel work, because it's like there're just some things there that I could never do at Marvel, but I can do at Image with a creator-owned book. So
yeah, because everyone, this story is so good just because you can tell it's a labor of love. I mean, like we said, everything, the writing, the art, it's all Kaare. So please pick it up. And like I was saying, thank you for putting up with me a second time. And this is going to go up on our new podcast me and my friends are doing. We're going to be reviewing comics and TV and basically whatever we want. So please, anytime you have anything to promote, even if it's like TV, please think of us. And even if you can't join us, Kaare, just drop me a note. Be like, hey, can you mention Renato Jones' new issues out, or this show's on, or
yeah, no, that's awesome, and good luck on the new podcast. I think it's I love the podcast medium. I think it's the kind of like long form 1-on-1 or 3-on-1 or whatever that is. That long form kind of intimate interview experience is something that is kind of has went away for a long time, and now it's coming back, and it's I think it's a different experience than just kind of a catchphrasey Entertainment Tonight news pop show or even like a public forum. It's like I think there's something that's inherently more interesting about the podcast medium.
And a mention of us in a Renato Jones letter page wouldn't hurt either.
There you go.
Oh. All right, everyone. Once again, the great Kaare Andrews. There's the applause.
All right. You gotta get your Foley guy to like just add in some crowds cheering, maybe from a big rally or something behind you.
Yes.
That'd be great. All right, man. Thanks.
Before you leave, do you want to promote any social media or any projects you're doing now? Any other projects?
Oh yeah. Well, here's the news. So in my new found genre of wealth, I've also got a a book that I did with some good friends of mine, Troy Nixie and Dave McCaig, for Dark Horse randomly. That is also about wealth. It's about a sociopathic billionaire who controls his city and protects it from evil. It's kind of a reverse of Renato Jones, where in Renato Jones it's like a man who pretends to be rich, and so he can judge the super rich for whatever evil they've done. And this book, it's called The Black Sinister, and it gets collected this month from Dark Horse in a hardcover. It was featured in Dark Horse Presents. It's about an evil psychopath billionaire who thinks he's doing good for people, but is not, and is failing completely. But I've heard it described to me as Dr. Seuss meets David Lynch meets Batman. So check it out. It's called Black Sinister. And check it out, on my social medias are just my name, Kaare Andrews. So whether it's Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, check all that stuff out.
But yeah, good stuff coming from this guy, everyone. So please check it out. And Kaare, again, thank you again for once again joining me again for a second time.
Let's do it again.
Oh,
let's do it again after season 2 wraps up. We'll have a recap.
Oh, nice. Yes, definitely. Maybe I can convince some of my other co-hosts to read this. They have to read this, and maybe we'll get a group or something. All right. Thank you so much. I know you're a busy man, but all
right. Back to the drawing board.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks, Phil. Bye.
There he is, everyone. Great Kaare Andrews. Such a nice guy. Such a great creator. But seriously, I wasn't kissing his butt or anything. I went into this book with no expectations, and well, like I said, I really can't afford another book, but I guess I'm gonna have to drop something else to follow this. But it's $3.99. Like he was saying, it seems like it's a thicker page count than you'll get from like a Marvel or a DC. And each season's only 5 issues, so right now issue 1 of season 2 just came out, so really you're only up to 6 issues. And like he said, the trade of season 1's out. I think that's an even more I don't want to say cheaper, but a more economic way to get season 1. So yeah, I mean, the price is right. Go get it. Great story. Trust me, you're not gonna. There's action. There's reflections of real world events. But check it out, and hopefully, we'll talk to Kaare again when season 2 wraps up and do a quick recap. But anyway, let us know if you read this story. Let me know what you think of it, or what you thought of the interview, or even our new podcast here. And you say, how can you do that? Well, please email us, capesandlunatics@gmail.com. On Facebook, we're facebook.com/capesandlunatics. Our Twitter is @capeslunatics. Instagram is Capes and Lunatics. And our Pinterest is Capes and Lunatics Podcast. And remember, you can always leave your live for you, and we'll play it back. Voicemail feedback, 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And all we ask is keep it clean so we can play it on the podcast. All right. And if you like the interviews, I know I like doing them, and I think we'll have more interviews with other people, probably other hosts. So just keep downloading, and we'll keep pumping them out. Thanks again for joining us.